Once upon a time, in a quiet suburban town, wrapped in the comfort of routine, there lived a woman named Emily Carter. At 29, she was the kind of person people described as dependable but invisible, someone who worked hard, smiled politely, and blended into the backdrop of everyone else's story. Yet Emily carried a secret weight in her chest, a heaviness that came from nights she couldn't explain. Nights when she would wake at 3:17 a.m. sharp, drenched in sweat, with the unshakable feeling that someone had been in her room. For months, she convinced herself it was stress, or maybe some buried trauma she hadn't confronted. But last night, when she reached for her phone to check the time, she saw it. A handprint smudged on her bedroom mirror. It was larger than hers, pressed hard into the glass, and too high for her to have made it. She lived alone. Emily stared at that handprint long after dawn, her coffee going cold beside her. Rational explanations ran wild in her mind. Maybe she'd forgotten to wipe it down after cleaning. Maybe a friend had touched it weeks ago. But the fresh streaks of oil on the glass told her otherwise. Something had been there. Someone had been there. She tried to push it away at work, sitting at her desk in the small insurance office where she typed up claims for strangers' disasters. But every flicker of fluorescent light above her cubicle reminded her of the mirror. Every reflection on a computer screen made her shiver. By lunchtime, her hands trembled so badly, she spilled soup on her blouse. Her coworker, Sarah, leaned over with concern. "You okay, Em? You look like you've seen a ghost." Emily forced a smile. Didn't sleep well. But inside, the lie gnawed at her. She had seen something or felt something, and the more she tried to deny it, the heavier it pressed against her ribs, as if daring her to speak the truth. That night, she stood in her apartment doorway longer than usual, keys clutched in her palm. The rooms inside felt darker, quieter, and colder than she remembered. She flicked the lights on. Everything looked normal. Her bookshelf with neatly stacked novels, her couch with the blankets still crumpled from the night before, her bedroom door slightly ajar. But normal no longer meant safe. She poured herself a glass of water, sat on the couch, and told herself she was being ridiculous. Then her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Why are you ignoring me?" Her throat tightened. She typed back a shaky response. "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then the reply came. "Look behind you." Emily froze. She couldn't move. She couldn't even breathe. Every instinct screamed at her not to turn, but the silence of the room became unbearable. Slowly, with her heart pounding against her ribs, she turned her head toward the window behind the couch. Nothing, just the night pressing against the glass. But when she looked back at her phone, her blood ran cold. Another message had appeared. Too slow. A glass of water slipped from her hand, shattering across the hardwood floor. She stood there, shaking, the sound of her breath filling the room. Someone was watching her. Someone knew her. And then, faintly, she heard it, the creak of her bedroom door moving further open. 30-second intermission, suspenseful pause for the audience. Imagine standing alone in your home, every shadow whispering at the edges of your vision, your phone lighting up with words from someone who should not exist. Would you run? Would you scream? Or would you do what Emily did, freeze? Because the truth feels heavier than fear. Emily's feet felt nailed to the floor as she stared at the dark hallway leading to her bedroom. Her phone buzzed again in her trembling hand. "I like when you stand still." She wanted to scream, to call someone, to dial 911, but her fingers felt numb, useless. Instead, She grabbed the first object she could find, a heavy book, from the coffee table and stepped cautiously toward the hallway. Her pulse throbbed in her ears, each step echoing in the silence. The bedroom door was now wide open. The mirror inside glinted faintly under the streetlight filtering through the blinds. Emily gripped the book tighter and stepped in. The room looked untouched, her bed neatly made, her lamp still off, but the mirror now bore two handprints, one beside the other, both larger than hers, both fresh. Her phone buzzed again, and she didn't want to look, but she did. "Don't pretend you don't remember me." Emily's lips parted in a whisper. "Remember who?" Her reflection in the mirror flickered, just for an instant, as if it had moved before she did. Her knees buckled, and she stumbled back, dropping the book. It hit the floor with a dull thud. Then her phone went dark, as though the battery had died. But she had charged it fully before work. The room felt charged with static, as if someone had exhaled against her skin. In the stillness, a voice brushed against her ear, low, male, and impossibly close. "You know me, Emily. You just forgot." Her scream tore through the silence of the night. Once upon a time, in a quiet suburban town, wrapped in the comfort of routine, there lived a woman named Emily Carter. At 29, she was the kind of person people described as dependable but invisible. Then, strange things began to happen. A forgotten game from her childhood came back to her in vivid detail. She remembered whispering a name into a mirror, a name she didn't recognize, and a shadowy figure appeared behind her. Startled, she turned to find a man with glowing red eyes and a smile like a skull. He leaned close and whispered, "You've called me forth, Emily, and now I am yours." Then he vanished. Years passed, and the memory faded. But it wasn't forgotten. She found strange messages in her own handwriting, journals from her past life, and even eerie photos of a smiling man who looked exactly like the one from the mirror. They were all manifestations of Malric, the being from the other side that feeds on fear and whispers to those who are vulnerable. As he grew stronger, Emily's terror grew. She learned his name was Malcolm Reich, an occultist who died in a ritual fire 100 years ago. But he still lingered in reflections, sustained by the belief that he was immortal. The more she ran and hid, the stronger he became. But she refused to give in. With a trembling hand, she faced her reflection and whispered, "I don't believe in you, Malric. I don't believe you can hurt me." And with that, his hold over her was broken. The mirror shimmered one last time, and then it was empty. And the end of the story. Please like, share, and comments below. So, please, subscribe button. Thank you for watching.